Now, a narcissist is a narcissist is a narcissist. I mean, they're basically like, they have a very, I wouldn't say weak, but they have oversensitive ego. Like, they really care what people think about them to the point where they're superficial almost. Like, they're usually highly intelligent, but their ego is weaker or not as firmly developed as it should be, I guess. And so that's why they need a lot of external praise from other people. They need to be sort of pumped up to feel like they are what they want to be or what they think they are. And a lot of times these are people who are oftentimes very successful, or they definitely are drawn to greed or material possessions or um, superficial praise. They really like to be on stage or behind, on camera. They like to be seen. They like to hear their name in print. Like, they're very like, they need that constant reinforcement that they're like all that. Like, it's super important. It's like their main focus. Okay? So that's why a lot of times people are like, oh, narcissist, like, and an empath get together, and the empath cares too much about them but not enough about themselves, and then the narcissist cares more about themselves and not about the empath. So it's like, the nightmare scenario, because one drains the other and the other one just like keeps giving. So narcissists and psychopaths can both have families. They're just usually not, especially psychopaths, they're not super engaged emotionally, like, because they don't really have that ability. Like, it's like they're more surface level. They don't have the ability to go deep, but they're so smart that they can mimic that they do. So, So a dark triad would be like if somebody had all these characteristics, because people they overlap each other, like some of, like, okay, all three of them don't have much empathy, though bizarrely I think the psychopath has, no, the psychopath doesn't. Is it the narcissist? One of them has a small amount. Like a seed. I don't think it's a psychopath. I'll have to relook it. But anyway, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, there is no one person who's going to be like the dark triad. It's like just a label that somebody could have all these different characteristics, and so like that would be somebody like somebody in psychiatry, or maybe the law enforcement would be super interested in noting these things, because there's more than likely that they're up to no good. Psychopaths, I think, tend to focus more on strangers, and I think narcissists tend to focus more on people they're in personal relationships with. I believe that's true. Machiavellianism, that's more like I said, it's more like they want praise from a larger audience. So that's more like a bigger group of people. They're usually in positions of power. So there is something called a dark empath, and I've looked it up, and like apparently empaths, there's like 5 different kinds, which I never knew. There's a reflective empath, dark empath. I gotta look it up, but somewhere in that there's the dark empath, which I think that person sounds really fascinating psychologically. But again, I'm not even sure if that's like a made up personality thing or if that's like a, I don't think that's diagnosable. I don't think so. But anyway, I'll look into it, and maybe I'll do next time, like maybe pretend relationship between a couple of these different types and see like if that demonstrates, and try to find out some real life examples. But that's the basic rundown of those people. Oh, the sociopath, if I didn't finish explaining it, there's somebody who they're not genetically or like the brain function, how their brain is developed, that's not how they're getting their condition from. A sociopath, it's from their environment. The environment shapes them to be this sort of self-serving, manipulative type person. All these people are like 10 plus on the manipulation scale. Like that's what they do. But yeah, that's how that goes. All right. I think that's it. I think oh, the sociopath, yeah. Okay, so they're formed by the environment, and the psychopath. That's why when people are like, like when you see these movies, I mean, I think I went to ones where it was like this little blonde boy in Maine, and it's like, of course, they were like, oh my God, he must be a psychopath because he was like tried to push some kid off a cliff, and he was like, I don't know, 8 or something. Like, a psychopath is somebody who I don't think they can't be diagnosed that early. All these people would be diagnosed as antisocial. Like, a narcissist, all narcissists are, no, all psychopaths are narcissists, but not all narcissists are psychopaths. That's it. So that's what I mean. Like, all these different things, like, sort of overlap a lot. But that definitely doesn't, I mean, there's also, like, a lot of that's the problem with mental health diagnoses, is a lot of them sound like each other. Like, there's a lot of symptoms that a dismissive avoidant has that, like, a narcissist has, but they're not at all the same thing. And that's true of, like, a lot of, like I was talking before about borderline and bipolar. Like, there's just a lot of mental health diagnoses that sound similar. And that's why there's the DSM, and that's why there's criteria. You have to follow this pattern for so many months, years, and these things have to definitely be present, or they won't get that diagnosis. The reason they do that is because, like I said, so many of these things sound like something else, like, otherwise you wouldn't be able to tell them apart. All right. Okay then. Thanks.